Welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen. It's really two programs in one. This is a series that appeals to your creative side. Food that is sumptuous stuff. How could that be? This is a program about people who want to eat healthy and reduce calories. Actually, it's about food with an aromatic quality that fills the nose. Oh, sure. But it's also about keeping my arteries clean by reducing fat. But it doesn't mean a thing if the food isn't rich and colorful. Maximize the flavor. Okay, but I must have healthy food that I can cook in minutes. I must minimize the risk. So welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen, where we get our heads together just for you. Welcome back once again. I think I've got a breakthrough for you today. Have you ever had a dinner party, you know, where you've got that first course and it's just absolutely singing and you want to really impress somebody with it, but boy, it shoots them right in the head. You know, it's so fatty and so rich, like a bean terrine, you know. Well, I'll tell you, there's a pâté de foie gras Strasbourg, which is that thing where they feed a goose until its liver extends and I won't tell you actually why it dies. But anyway, if you do that, it gets very fatty indeed. Now, I would like to show you a bean dish which is completely the reverse of that. Now, all of this came up as a result of a good friend of mine now, whose name is Lee Anderson. And Lee filled in one of these things here, you know, one of the big sheets, the food preference sheets, have been following me recently. And he is actually, let me introduce you to him. He's an accountant. He's also a travel agent. It's nice to be an accountant and a travel agent at the same time. That must work well. He's coming close to his big 50s. He's single, so hey, this guy's an accountant and travels. You know, this sounds like an opportunity, somebody. When he entertains, he says, "I throw caution to the wind." Well, this will be all right for you. This is with beans, and you should be able to do that with consummate skill. Anyway. Well, you sent me in a recipe which is, I must say, that's the richest thing I've seen, you know, in a long time. And I think we fixed it, but in a very unusual way. Let me show you a few of Lee's favorite things. He loves Italian, Mexican, and French food, and if you squeeze it together, you'll get some idea of the kind of food that he likes. And so that was a guide to me. Boiling was his #1 method. You know, apart from the odd fellow on an island years ago when missionaries used to arrive, I've never known anybody whose boiling was their absolute #1, you know, method of cooking. Roasting chicken, chocolate mousse, by the way, is not, you know, well, you know what a mousse is. Seasoning, basil, imagine basil raspbone. Doesn't that make the point, you know? Paprika and garlic. These are things that he liked. Pork, guava, which I don't use, zucchini, he grows his own, and Parmesan cheese. So anyway, by looking at all of that, he didn't say that he liked beans, but well, I'll show you the reason why I thought of beans as we look at the old springboarding technique right now. Come through, I'll show you how. As always, you realize what we're going to do is we're going to look at a technique and then apply the technique to actually minimize risk and maximize flavor at the same time. Well, what I was thinking of here was he get this great first course with provolone cheese and everything else, and it was so rich and fantastic. And so the big thing was, how do you think about something which will do the same task? And it's what I call X-raying something. Now, this is an X-ray of my fingers. I hope you'll be able to see it here. You can see the bones clearly. I'm pointing them out with my thumb. And that showed me that whilst I can look at my fingers like that, I can't see the bone. I need an X-ray. So in the same kind of way, you look at a thing like the provolone terrine that he sent to me, and you kind of look at it in your mind, X-ray mind. X-ray, I've got an S underneath on my shirt. And you move it down line over different foods until you find something that seems to be, it feels the same. The X-ray is the structure of the dish. And you feel the structure of it. Now, this is very fatty and creamy and smooth. So I thought of beans. And beans really did it. These were garbanzo beans here. They've got a buttery yellow kind of finish to it. I wanted a red line to this terrine, to the sort of like a pate with 3 levels of color. So these red kidney beans would do with that. And then these little fellas here, the little white bean, with some fresh basil in the top, could give me the green color that I wanted, a kind of pesto-y kind of business. All right? Now, if that sort of exciting, now you may say, well, it takes such a long time, Graham, to cook beans. And I accept that. You know, these from raw, this would take you exactly 2 hours of slow simmering to cook them. All right, fine. These will cook you 18 minutes if you do them in a pressure cooker. And you say, well, I'm really not into pressure cooking. Well, 37 seconds. Time myself, you know, with one of these new angled can openers here with a nice broad top to it. Right kind of can opener, 37 seconds. Bring it out, rinse it off, look for a low sodium one. There's no real point to putting a whole bunch of salt into something. Low sodium beans are really into their own now. You can always add salt, but you can't take it away. Okay, so you've got the beans there, you simply rinse them off and you can use them, 37 seconds. Now what about price? I knew you would say that. Do you know there's only 15 cents per pound difference between the raw and the ones that you buy in a tin? And I wouldn't mind betting that's a really good, convenient idea. So we're into beans, and that's what we're going to have on the menu. So if you're ready for this? Okay. Here's the menu.
Today on Graham Kerr's Kitchen, Bean Tereena. Exotic flavored pâtés made with a variety of beans and seasonings.
Okay, Lee, come on, let's have a look at it, all right? Well, first of all, I've got a different technique here. In fact, the whole thing is really rather different. And it's something of a breakthrough this time, I must admit, because Lee's dish initially is just absolutely phenomenal, just really wonderful. But as he says, he's throwing caution to the wind in doing it. Wait till you see the numbers. And I just wanted, it just gave me an idea. It's very, very unlike the original, but very nice. Okay, so here's a different idea. You know how we've been broiling under radiant heat a green pepper or a red pepper or a yellow pepper? Well, the sweet peppers, you can actually do the same thing by steaming them. Now, you don't get that same caramelized taste from it, but you do get what may be a less messy way of doing it. It's still time-consuming and fiddly and everything else like that, but it comes off really rather well. I thought that you'd like to see that. I don't want to put that stuff into the dish with the skin on, because the skin doesn't pulverize in a food processor. So it really needs to come off altogether. So to save time, there it is. That's when it's completely skinned and ready to go. You can buy them, by the way, already peeled, you know, if you want to save yourself the problem. But this is rather nice doing things like that. Okay. Now, the first things first, what I've got is a little piece of garlic, because the garlic's very important to this dish, the way that it's done. First of all, you take a garlic clove, which is a nice head of garlic, and squeeze it all the way around, make sure it's nice and firm. And then, oh, it's all right. Nearly went down the cushion at the far end of the table. You are really going to have to stop being so, it's shedding its leaves. Now, hold it carefully. This is wild garlic. Just saw the top off. Doesn't that look nice? Look at it, wonderful. Eventually you succumbed. And this you then put into a piece of foil and just wrap it up. Seal it well and truly. You don't want any hum to come out of it. And put that at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. This is, talk about wasted thing. Put this when you're doing something else. 375 or in a toaster oven. 375 for 35 minutes. Thank you. And put it in there, and it drops down automatically into the bottom. One. And at 35 minutes, it's just done nicely. So you open it up, and when it's still warm and pungent, you lift it out, and it smells. It does, but it smells rather wonderful. Let's see whether this one is quite as wild as its raw mate. Now you press onto the top, and as you press down, it comes squeezing out. Did you ever see, years and years ago, a film, it was definitely a B movie, called The Quatermass Experiment? This thing, like plastic, it oozed out of a cup or something and took over all of London. And it was obviously a terrible British movie. I always remember that. It was one of the ones that Tereena and I went to see. And it looked just like the garlic coming out there, almost as offensive. This is not like regular garlic. If you're going to go to a store and you're going to pick up a piece of garlic, or even, you know the little jars or tubes that you can buy nowadays, don't use that stuff in lieu of doing this. This is different because it's been baked, it's so mild. It's like perfume, just a little bit behind your ears could work wonders. All right, now we've got everything together. Let's show you what goes into this. We've got the red kidney beans. Now this is a can of red kidney beans. They've been washed, that's the reason why they're in the sieve. Rinse them off, and then a can of the garbanzo. Both of them weighing just about a pound. And so both of those are just put in. Now the garbanzo gives a little bit of quality to the red kidney bean, which doesn't hold together quite as well. And it's got 50-50 in it. All right, then the red pepper that was there, just throw that in. And a couple of teaspoonfuls of the garlic puree. Just drop that in. This stuff is wonderful stuff. Once you've done it, and you try a little bit on some French bread sometime, it's really a knockout with a little bit of strained yogurt. All right, so that's done. Little freshly ground black pepper in there, about 1/4 teaspoonful. And I haven't put any salt in at all, just leaving that out at the moment. But if you find when you really like it in the end you need a little salt, well, you can sprinkle a bit on at the table. 1/4 teaspoonful of rich red Hungarian hot pepper. And that's about it. Good. Now, all I need to, oh, there it is. You'd think that you'd have it. Just a moment. Lemon, thank you. That's Suzanne for you. Marvelous. I don't know whether she was referring to the whole procedure or whether I'm supposed to add it. This is 2 tablespoonsful now, just squeezed. And, oh, they're wonderful things, these. It's almost as if you've got a tube up your sleeve and keep on pouring it. So that's 2 tablespoonsful. Pop it onto the top, and then start to whiz. Now that takes quite a bit of time to be able to do the thing properly. Actually, it takes in total about 3 minutes to do this one, and about 4 minutes to do the one which has got the garbanzo beans in it. It really does take just about that long, and then, you can always test it. And you must test this for a nice smooth, it must be smooth, because the whole point is being able to make it look like cheese. No, look like cheese. Oh, that does taste nice. Think of it as a kind of a super dip, which we're actually going to produce like a pate. All right. Good. Now, you just simply take that away, and we'll put that over there. And I want to put another one on. I've got one on there just to show you what it looks like. I just want to drop another one of these on. But you don't have to have just one. I hate machines. You don't have to have another one, another one of these things. You can just rinse them out, but I just want to be able to get on with it with you. Now, these are white beans, exactly the same, just 1 can of white beans, 37 seconds, and you're in business. And 1 cup of fresh basil rathbone leaves, and just put them down on the top. And if you've never tried them fresh, they are one of the most magnificent things in the entire wide world. All right, then 2 tablespoons of freshly grated, I a little overdid that first one, so a little underdo the second one. I thought just in case you happen to notice me. The Parmesan, a little freshly ground pepper, again, just like the other one that we did before. And to give it that little bit of a lift, which is so important, is, again, the fresh lemon juice, all right? Just 2 tablespoons full, you'll find will do it perfectly. All right, so that's the done thing. Now, put that lid back on the top there and start that one going round. Shut it up, and take it off, and then have a 1/2 teaspoonful of garlic. Otherwise, you shouldn't have gone to all that trouble doing that garlic. Just enough. Now, why 2 teaspoons full and only a 1/2 teaspoonful in this one? It would completely overdo it. It would make it sort of shout at you. You don't want that. It's actually a little bit like, a traffic signal. You've got green, which is this one. You've got red, which is the other one. And you've got the kind of the orange in the middle. And if you've noticed, my suspenders actually match the whole idea. Just to bring it out. I know you would have noticed that anyway. Okay. This is the orange, or the middle of the traffic signal. And this is made as follows. I didn't see that there's any point to trying to throw another one of those things around there. 6 tablespoons full of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. This is the American Parmesan. A tablespoonful of strained yogurt, very strong, beautifully, when I say strong, very viscous, very well strained. And then a tablespoonful of the French mustard, a quarter of a teaspoonful of pepper, 2 tablespoons full of lemon juice, and a couple of cans of the lesser sodium content garbanzo. All right, good. All right, now you get something that looks like a meatloaf tin, and this is a glass one so you can see what's going on, and you line it with a plastic film, and you may put a little bit of spray, you know, oil in the bottom of it. First of all, it's really not necessary. This should do it fine. And then you get the first little dollop of this stuff coming up, and it's a good thing to let it cool off a little bit before you start to mold it. The reason is because it can warm up a little bit during the actual whizzing process. Now, just press it out to the sides, and you'll see that it's starting to cling to the spatula. Now, this is what Lee found out when he was doing this. He said, boy, it was difficult to do that. Well, Lee, look, how about this? Just put it in cold water and just scrape it to the side, and then just spread it there. See how that releases it? And you've got a completely flat, smooth surface there, all right? All right, now, next one. Here is the one which, and I use a separate spatula. Usually these spatula things come in sets of 3, which is rather useful. This one is the yellow one, and this, by the way, I love to use this mix, now I've discovered it, in things like enchiladas. It's an amazing thing how it looks like cheese, and it smells like cheese, it tastes like cheese, but really it's a duck. And if you press it out all the way around like this, it is really a very useful idea. Keep some of that in the fridge and you'll be amazed about how well that works. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Now this one took just about 4 minutes because that one is, you know, these between 3 and 4 minutes, you'll get the general idea. This smells phenomenal because it's the fresh basil or basil that just come into that. It is just delicious. This gives you the feeling of that pesto salad dressing or dressing. I've got so many of these things all over the place. And it's just, it tastes and smells wonderful. Look at the bright green color. I'd like to do this on the day that you're having a dinner party, in which case it'll stay that beautiful and green, but the green doesn't last that long. All right. So just square it off like so, and lift the film up so as to protect it, and then bung it away. Right? Keep it, I like to suggest that you keep it all day, just literally overnight. This is one of the problems because it does sort of fade a little bit in terms of the green, but hey, it tastes absolutely wonderful. And I've frozen this stuff, and that is the most remarkable thing of all. It actually freezes. So you can turn it out in a fun party idea like this, and come on. And good. Just a little bit of a shake, and off it comes. Look, look, look. Imagine serving that up for a party and what it looks like. It's just phenomenal. I've used that word twice. Forgive me. I'm not quite sure how you spell it either, which is you should never use a word that you can't spell. All right, here is a spatula. So we'll use the spatula like this. We'll get a plate, and on the plate I've got some jicama. And by the way, jicama, if you are not familiar with it, is this wonderful root, and it is the most magnificent, crispy, it's just slightly sweet and crunchy, and it just does a beautiful job. So when you're serving this, it's not a bad idea to serve it from the kitchen with a knife which can release the suction well. So you carve that through like that, and just fold that back. And you see how the layers come out just like that? We just slide that off onto the plate, and perhaps with some good vinaigrette, you know, so oil and vinegar dressing like this, you'd make a kind of salad out of, well, sort of a dressing by the side. It's really garnish of watercress. And the watercress, which is slightly hot, goes with the jicama, which is crisp and sweet. And with these 3 levels of patty, and I call this after Tereena, my wife, bean Tereena. It sounded like a mix between a choreographer and a basketball star. But, okay, shall we see how it actually tastes? It's wonderful. Come through. Incidentally, the reason why I suggested, actually, that you should use one of those saw-edged knives and go through it very slowly was because if you had a knife and cut down from the top straight through, what would happen is you would carry the darker color right over the creamy center. So that was the reason for that. Now, let's have a look at the classic. Now, the classic is literally layers of provolone cheese and pesto and sun-dried tomatoes and, in Lee's case, roasted pistachio nuts. I'm sorry to laugh. I've just finished The Hope, which is a great book, and the author, or the main hero, is always eating pistachio nuts and putting on weight. But anyway, so that's what that is, and it's just, of course, it is absolute genius. You know? Let's have a look at the numbers. The numbers are $4.96 for a first course, a little high for a first course. This is $2.31, and the fat was 45 grams. This is 3. Saturated fat of the 45 was 20. We have 1. And so the calories from fat was 82%, which has now come down to 13%, which means this qualifies this dish for someone who is at risk. Cholesterol at 86, this is down to 2. Sodium at 732, we've even got that down because of the low sodium beans, 163. Carbohydrate is 38. So those are the numbers, and I think they're very good numbers. Now the big thing, of course, always is how do you eat this wretched thing? And the reason that I have the jicama there is because you eat it this way. It's like toast points you would use for the provolone, perhaps, or little water biscuits. But there's something absolutely fabulous about the crisp, crunchy nuttiness of the jicama. You've never tried it. It's raw, it's uncooked. Wonderful. Celery would be nice as well. Big thing. No matter how rich a thing looks, you can still take the genius of this dish and just ease it apart and put great tasting things. X-ray it in your mind. It's called springboarding. Good. Now, we're going the extra meal, which means that we've actually made the whole of that terrine, put it in the deep freeze, bring it out, defrost it, or just cut a slice off it, saw it off if necessary. And this is one of the things you can do. It's really an interesting idea. Again, in 37 seconds or thereabouts, if you've got a good can opener, take one sort of Italian skinned tomato, one of those things, without sodium, okay? Low sodium. And then take a 1/4 cup of fresh basil, and pop that in together. So that's a jalapeno. Did I say that? One jalapeno and the fresh basil, and pop that into the top and then run it. Now that's in just an ordinary blender. We're just putting the jalapeno and the basil together, and they're having fun. Right, now, I don't know whether you've noticed it recently, but there is a new introduction, which is the kid's size of tortilla. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it really is. They're small size, and they're just perfect for us, because if you look on the back label, you will find that tortillas are really quite heavy in fat and calories. Now, I put 2 tablespoons full of that mix on there, and you notice how wonderful it looks. It's sort of a variegated colors. I like that. I'm into gardening now, and I love variegated things. And so you just roll it up and then pop that with all the rest of them. Now, just to show you how simple this can be, and I mean, this is simple. You then stop this. Now, really, this hasn't taken long, has it? And you just fill those tortilla up like that, and just use it, and then just take the sauce, pour it all down over the top. It's gone brown because that's the oxidizing effect of the basil. The basil goes that way. I'm going to take a couple of tablespoons full of Parmesan cheese. There we are. That's all of it. And put that over the top. put it into an oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, stick it in there with the garlic, and then bring it out of the bottom one when they're done. Now you just simply cover it with some foil, takes about 20 minutes, and that's what it looks like. You then can actually get hold of one of these magnificent things. This is one of the best designed things I think I've ever seen. This is a spatula which actually bends with things. Oh, look, you've got a portion of 3. It actually bends right down so that you can make a decent job of serving. Isn't that great? So, in we go. And literally minutes. You're in business. And 2 of those, about 400 calories, and about 16% of calories from fat. Isn't that wonderful?